Breaking news Part 2 Knew the knock at midnight. The rain had stopped hours ago, but its scent still lingered, fresh, metallic and oddly electric in the air. Inside their apartment, the world was reduced to soft lamplight and the faint sound of Bailu's breathing against Dylan's chest. The first knock. A single, heavy thud against the door. Not loud enough to be aggressive, but too deliberate to be a mistake. Dylan's eyes opened instantly, his body going still. Bailu stirred. "What was that?" she murmured. He didn't answer right away, straining to listen. A few seconds later, another knock. Low. Measured. 3 beats this time. Dylan slipped out of bed, grabbing a t-shirt from the chair. The floor was cold under his bare feet as he moved toward the door. The clock on the wall ticked far too loudly in the silence. The hallway outside. When he reached the peephole, Dylan froze. The hallway was empty, just dim golden light, stretching in both directions. He glanced down at the doormat. A faint, wet footprint marked the floor, a single step pointing toward their door. Bailu appeared behind him, pulling his hoodie tight around her. "Is someone there?" "No one," he said, voice lower than usual. "Go back inside." "Envelope." As he turned to follow her, something caught his eye. An envelope, half slipped under the door. Cream-colored, the edges damp from rain. No name. No return address. He bent down and picked it up. The paper was heavier than normal, textured under his fingertips. "What is it?" Bailu asked, watching him from the sofa. Dylan sat across from her, tearing it open carefully. Inside was a single sheet of paper, handwritten in elegant, slanted characters. "You can't hide forever." No signature. The tension builds. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The ticking of the clock felt deafening. Bailu broke the silence first. "Is this some crazy fan thing?" "Maybe," Dylan said, but his tone carried no conviction. He kept looking at the handwriting, the deliberate strokes, the faint smudge at the corner of the page. Like someone had been writing in the rain. She crossed her arms. "You've had stalkers before. Remember when?" "This isn't the same," he cut in gently, his jaw tightening. The decision to check. Against her protests, Dylan decided to check the hallway again. He opened the door, stepping out barefoot, scanning left and right. The building was silent except for the hum of the elevator far down the corridor. But when he crouched to look closer at the wet footprint, his breath caught. It was larger now. There were 2 more beside it, leading away toward the stairwell. Someone had been standing there watching. The security call. Back inside, Dylan grabbed his phone and called the building's night security. "This is Wang Hee from 12B, he said, voice clipped. "Did you see anyone come up to our floor in the last 20 minutes? The guard hesitated. "Sir, our camera in your hallway has been offline since yesterday morning. We've been waiting for a repair technician." Dylan's eyes flicked toward Bailu. She had gone pale. "Check the other floors," he said sharply. The power flicker. While waiting for a response, Dylan paced near the window. The city beyond was mostly dark. Rain had knocked out streetlights in patches. Then, without warning, the apartment lights flickered once. The hum of the fridge cut out. The room fell into sudden, heavy darkness. Bailu's voice came, small and tight. "Dylan." He crossed to her immediately, pulling her close. "It's okay. I'm here." But his heartbeat was far from calm. Elevator sound. From somewhere down the hall, the elevator dinged. It was almost 1 a.m. No one should be arriving at this hour. They both turned toward the door. In the silence, they heard it. Slow, deliberate footsteps. The faint creak of floorboards with each step. Then nothing. The bold move. Dylan grabbed the small flashlight from the drawer. "Stay here," he whispered. Bailu's grip on his wrist tightened. "No. I'm coming with you." And so they stepped into the hallway together, the beam of the flashlight cutting through the dim glow of emergency lights. They followed the sound of faint dripping water. The stairwell. At the end of the hall, the stairwell door was slightly ajar. Dylan pushed it open. Cold air rushed in, mixed with the sharp scent of wet concrete. Down below, the flashlight caught something glinting on the landing. A silver key. Bai Lu bent to pick it up. A small tag dangled from it, handwritten with the number, 12B. She looked at Dylan. That's our apartment. The return. They locked the door behind them and shoved the chain across. Dylan took the key and envelope, placing both on the counter like they were dangerous objects. Bai Lu pulled the curtains tight over the balcony doors. The power came back with a low hum, filling the apartment with light again, but neither of them felt comforted. The rain starts again. Around 2:15 a.m., rain began to patter against the glass. They sat on the sofa, too wired to sleep. At some point, Bai Lu reached for his hand. Do you think it's just a fan? Dylan hesitated. I think someone wants us to believe it's just that. She studied his face. And if it's not? He squeezed her hand. Then we deal with it together. The balcony shadow. Just before 3 a.m., Dylan got up to refill their tea. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw it. Movement on the balcony. Shadow. Not the shape of a tree branch, not the reflection of passing headlights. This was a figure. Butching. His breath froze in his chest. By the time he rushed to the glass doors, the balcony was empty. But the faintest trace of water remained on the tiles, leading toward the corner where the drain pipe disappeared downward. The decision. That was enough. Dylan called a friend, someone he trusted outside the industry. Within 30 minutes, the friend would arrive with a car to take them somewhere else for the night. Bai Lu packed a small bag while Dylan kept watch at the door. The envelope and the key stayed on the counter, untouched. The last glance. When they finally stepped into the hallway, Dylan paused to lock the door. For just a moment, he felt a strange certainty that whoever had been there tonight would be back. As the elevator doors closed, Bai Lu slipped her hand into his, and he held on tightly. They didn't speak until they were far from the building, the lights of their home fading into the distance. The story's shift. What had started as a quiet, domestic love story had changed. They were still together, still living in moments of warmth and laughter. But now there was something else in the picture, an unanswered question, a shadow moving just out of sight. Under the same roof, in the shadows. The hotel room smelled faintly of bleach and fabric softener. Outside, the neon glow of Beijing's midnight skyline smeared against the window. It had been almost 24 hours since the envelope and the key appeared at their door. Dylan sat on the edge of the bed, elbows resting on his knees, staring at the silver key lying on the coffee table like it was a loaded weapon. Bai Lu was curled in the armchair, knees pulled up, scrolling through her phone without really reading anything. Every few minutes, she'd glance at him, then back at the screen. Finally, she broke the silence. Are we going back? Dylan didn't answer immediately. His eyes stayed fixed on the key. Not yet, he said. Not until I know who's behind this. The research begins. By morning they had a plan. Dylan called one of his oldest friends from his basketball circle, a tech-savvy, quiet guy named Chen Rui who owed Dylan more than a few favors. At a discreet cafe far from the entertainment districts, Dylan slid the envelope and the key across the table. Chen Rui studied them. You kept them clean. Yes, Dylan said. No fingerprints. Just ours, Bai Lu replied, her tone sharper than usual. Can you trace where it came from? Chen Rui turned the key in his palm. This isn't a normal duplicate. It's a high-security lock type. Rare, expensive. Whoever made this had direct access to your apartment's lock code. Bai Lu's grip on her coffee cup tightened. So, someone inside the building. Maybe. Or someone who bribed the wrong person. Chen Rui slipped both items into a sealed evidence bag. I'll dig. But you need to stay low for now. The return to the scene. That evening, against Chen Rui's advice, Dylan insisted they go back, just to check. They returned to their apartment building at dusk, slipping in through the underground parking lot to avoid the main entrance. Dylan parked in their reserved spot, cutting the engine, but didn't move immediately. "You don't have to come up," he told Bai Lu. She shot him a look. "You think I'm letting you walk into that place alone? Not happening." Upstairs the hallway looked normal, too normal. The wet footprints from 2 nights ago were gone, the lighting warm and calm. But as they approached their door, Dylan stopped short. The door was locked. The chain was still across from the inside. And yet, the faintest scent of cigarette smoke lingered in the air. The apartment check. They stepped inside slowly. Everything looked as they'd left it. The curtains drawn, the dishes washed, the couch cushions still uneven from the night before the incident. But Dylan noticed something immediately. His guitar, which he always kept in the corner, was leaning against the opposite wall. And the balcony door lock had fresh scratches along the edge. Someone had been inside. The first threat. On the kitchen counter where the envelope and key had been, sat something new. A single Polaroid photo. It was taken from outside, through their balcony glass. In the image, Dylan and Bai Lu were curled on the sofa in their hoodies, laughing at something on the TV. Bai Lu's voice was barely a whisper. "They were watching us." On the bottom of the photo, in the same handwriting as the note. "It's cute how safe you think you are." The argument. Back at the hotel that night, the tension finally boiled over. "You should go stay with your parents," Dylan said, pacing the room. "Just for a few weeks. I'm not leaving you here to deal with this alone." Bai Lu shot back. "You think I'm scared? I'm not. You should be." His voice was sharper than he intended. "This isn't some overzealous fan anymore. This is someone who got inside our home. Someone who's been watching us." Her jaw tightened. "Then we find them. Together. Or not at all." For a moment, the room was silent except for the hum of the air conditioner. Then Dylan stepped forward, resting his forehead against hers. "I'm not afraid for me, Lu. I'm afraid for you." The clue breaks. 2 days later, Chenrue called. "I've got something. The lock code for your building's high-security keys. Registered to a subcontractor who does maintenance for your property. Guess what? He quit last month. No forwarding address. But his last recorded job before quitting. Apartment 12B. And his name?" Dylan asked. "Yu Ming." Chase. That night, Dylan and Chenrue tracked Yu Ming to a low-rise apartment building on the outskirts of the city. Dylan left Bai Lu at the hotel with 2 of Chenrue's friends watching the door. The building was dim, corridors narrow and smelling faintly of damp. Dylan knocked once, hard. A man in his early 40s opened the door halfway. His eyes flicked to the stranger in front of him, then to the way Dylan's posture carried more warning than his words. "You've been in my apartment," Dylan said. Not a question. Yu Ming's expression was unreadable. "I don't know what you're talking about." Dylan stepped forward, forcing the door wider. "You left the note. Key. Who are you working for?" A faint smile touched Yu Ming's lips. "You'll find out soon enough." Trap. Before Dylan could press further, Yu Ming's phone buzzed on the counter. The screen lit up with an image. Bai Lu, standing on the balcony of the hotel room. His stomach dropped. "Where is she?" Yu Ming shrugged. "Not here." Dylan didn't wait for more. He bolted out of the apartment, calling Chenrue, who answered with panic already in his voice. "She's gone." The guys watching the door said she got a call, stepped outside for a minute, and disappeared. The ransom call. Minutes later, Dylan's phone rang from a blocked number. "You want her back." The voice was low, distorted. "Come alone. Midnight. Old train depot in Fengtai. Bring no one." The line went dead. The confrontation. The old depot was a skeleton of rust and shadows. The only light came from a single hanging bulb, swinging slightly in the wind. Bai Lu sat in a chair in the center of the room, hands tied but unharmed, eyes locking onto Dylan the moment he stepped in. From the darkness, Yu Ming emerged, followed by a man Dylan recognized instantly. His old manager. The realization hit like ice water. You, Dylan said, voice flat. The man smiled thinly. You walked away from contracts. From deals worth millions. I don't like losing my investments. This isn't business, Dylan said, taking a step forward. This is obsession. It's leverage, the man corrected. I thought a little fear might make you more cooperative. Turn. What neither man noticed was Bailu slowly working the edge of a small blade, slipped to her by Dylan when he hugged her before stepping back, against the rope at her wrists. The moment the rope loosened, she lunged sideways, knocking over the hanging light. Shadows exploded across the room.